One can see that, that double-edged sword of tourism. The destination cycle is reaching its zenith, and it's important for us to do some infrastructural policy making changes, and that is a responsibility which I share with a lot of like-minded people.
Ankit Bhaiya, as you go around popularly in Tirthan Valley, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a hillbilly, as they say, born and brought up in the mountains. And then later on, I did my master's in tourism, and I was a professor of tourism for 12 years. After that, I got a chance to establish the Sikkim Ecotourism Directorate. So a lot of learnings came from one of the most amazing state in the Himalayas, Sikkim. And then I had the opportunity to work in Himachal, Uttarakhand, basically on policy levels and on bringing up remote valleys for tourism, for sustainable tourism.
So you have always been in the mountains?
Yes. After our masters, I did go to the corporate world, and we opened up a company in Gurgaon. But then my dream was always to head the adventure wing of that. But since it was getting too corporate, I crash landed back into the mountains.
Nice. I have always wanted to know this. I mean, from someone who can really explain it to me. What exactly is ecotourism according to you?
Well, ecotourism, because it has become such a popular word, there are many definitions that has come to it. But what I can understand is that it is primarily tourism around protected areas, which is national parks and wildlife sanctuaries, and in a way where the community which is living around those protected areas is involved in the tourism process. So it is community empowerment. And the most important thing, the third pillar, which everybody misses, is that community recognizes that they are earning through that national park or wildlife sanctuary nearby, and they make mechanisms to protect it so that it becomes like a win-win situation for nature as well as the people. Well, now we use the word community-based ecotourism because ecotourism is being used quite a lot. So much so that the Ecotourism Society of India has renamed itself Responsible Tourism Society of India. So probably one should talk of the broader picture now, which says responsible tourism, which does encompass basically not only giving back to nature. Ecotourism is one set of it, but even if you talk from working in the wilderness or even in the cities where you are doing tourism responsibly.
Tell us a little bit about the community here and how Sunshine Himalayan Cottages came into being.
Well, Sunshine Himalayan Cottages is basically the product of the parent company, which is called Sunshine Himalayan Adventures. That was started by me and my geography teacher when I was almost 17,
Wow.
But then he made sure that because he saw that I was very passionate about tourism. At that time, I could, earn my pocket money from leading treks in Ladakh and Spiti, because trekking was mostly about the international community, Germans, French, a lot of Europeans.
Right.
And then we bridged the gap between the staff, which was local, and, as tour managers. So then after Sunshine Adventures, Himalayan Adventures was started way back in 95. And then in 2000, when I joined in as a professor of tourism, as an assistant professor of tourism in Kundu, the park came into being.
Okay.
And that is how I used to come to fishing with the same geography teacher. We were here from childhood. But then professionally, I started working here at the invitation of the forest department to train the local people in tourism skills. And then that took shape of, as we started marketing it also. And as the things grew, various homestays were opened up, treks were opened up, new activities were introduced. And so after 17, 18 years of working here, in 2018, we were blessed enough to have our own home, which we called Sunshine Himalayan Cottages. Mountains, have always been about community living. So when we talk of 2014, when a small team of dedicated people worked towards writing a 1300-page application to declare this area as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and we, devoted it to the world. It didn't belong to a state or a country.
Right.
It was for the world. The whole idea was that we would have added protection to the core environment. Unluckily or unfortunately, that took a detour, and it suddenly became a center of attraction for a lot of outsiders, entrepreneurs, who saw a business opportunity in a living area. So though the locals also escalated quite a lot, the homestays developed and everything, but suddenly we saw the tourism pressures of the valley growing, and we as a community started seeing a lot of, outsiders, as if I may use the word. And these outsiders were not only humans, these outsiders were also birds. Even the nature is changing. So sadly, this area, which is a designated IUCN important bird area, is heavily under threat. And it's mainly because of these crows coming in, because crow is such a dominant species that it wipes out a lot of the other species. God has given him the duty to, scavenge.
That's his job.
Yeah. So now, as things progress, you said, again coming back to the core word of community, I can see that the community is going to get stressed. It is already being stressed because the water sources for drinking are limited. So earlier they were being shared by the fields, and the people over here, maybe they're smaller homestays. Now with the coming up of bigger establishments, that is under pressure. The river ultimately will become under pressure, because though this is a pious river, the Tirthan, and we pray for it, and our gods take holy dips in it, and the trout, fish, biological indicator of showing that it is pristine. But this is slowly going to go the Bias way, because earlier we used to catch trout in the Bias. Now with the sewerage and everything, there's no more of that. So you can't drink Bias water.
Can you tell us a little about Himalayan volunteer tourism and what it is all about?
Well, my company Sunshine has always been about volunteering. So we have grown through the help of the energies of the nature, which bless us through our deeds, and through human beings, who come from the world over to help us. So we run a small NGO called Kullu Project, which was started way back in 2002, and a lot of the cottage work here is being done by volunteers. And a classic example is you sitting behind the seat. This Jula has been made by a German volunteer. The tires have been upcycled. So the whole idea of Himalayan volunteer tourism is that you come to the Himalayas and you volunteer your skills, your time, and you take back memories of a good deed done, or a good task accomplished, which keeps you going in the cities. But again, like I was talking to you in the morning, it is important for the government to provide basic infrastructure, and this can only be done by the government side. You know, if it was in my control or in the civil controls, of course, there are examples of it where a community has dug a mountain to bring the water to their village
Right.
or done, you know, excellent work. But nevertheless, because it is us taxpayers' money, you know, it is important for the government to understand that things like electricity, water supplies, banking, you know, roads is something which requires heavy investment, which only they can do. And the entrepreneurship, I think, should be left to the local population. Of course, very important factor is fine-tuning through trainings and giving them the knowledge of good equipment
For them to grow.
for them to grow. Yeah, exactly.
If any last closing comments on what do you think should be the way forward in ecotourism?
The way forward for tourism is definitely responsible tourism. And this responsibility not only lies in the hands of the local people, because they have to be aware of the community assets they own, especially what God has given us. But this responsibility importantly lies with the people who visit these remote valleys to be educative enough to kind of blend in not only with the local population but also with nature, because you know these places not only belong to human beings but to the animals who can't speak for themselves, to the birds who have nests over here, and of course to the flora and fauna, you know, which basically attracts people from all over the world.
Spoken like a true Pahari. Thank you so much, Ankit ji.
Thank you, Jit.